Hello, welcome to the Counterattack Playthrough Series. We're playing World at War 85, Storming the Gap. This is the World at War 85 system. It's a tactical land combat system, platoon scale. Takes place in the year 1985 and depicts hypothetical battles between the Warsaw Pact, NATO, and their allies. Again, it's land combat. The first module is Storming the Gap. It's my understanding every module that will be coming out will be standalone, so you don't have to have module dependency hell, which is pretty cool. So let's go ahead and check it out. Hopefully you can see this okay. This is the scenario book that comes with the module, and it has sort of a map of what's going on, where the scenarios take place. So this is the folded gap of West Germany. We have an East German invasion, Soviet and East German invasion coming in. Each of these lines are the different spearheads, and scenarios are sort of collected into groups representing each of the three main spearheads. It's all thematic as far as I've seen. There's no actual linking between scenarios. But I've played a few of the early scenarios, like SO1 is a learning scenario. The learning scenarios are good, but they're very light. So I'm probably making a mistake here, but I'm going to jump in and do scenario 19, which is a pretty big scenario. So just to give you the context, it takes place after much fighting, and there's basically a rearguard action of the West Germans in the US forces just east of the Rhine, I believe, trying to prevent East German and Soviet forces from crossing the Rhine. So it's like a last-ditch desperate battle down here. So let's go check out the actual battle. Okay, this is gonna be a little shaky, but here's the map. This is a modular system, a lot like other tactical games. So there's actually 3 maps put together here for the scenario instructions. And the East Germans and Soviets are going to be coming in from the northeast and south of this map here. They're going over here. There's an objective they have to capture, if I remember correctly, 3 of the 4 objectives. So there's one there. That's objective B. It's on a little city hex. Whenever an objective is on a city hex, you count all the contiguous city hexes. So they have to capture all 3 hexes there. Oh, and there's A up there, so there's 3 more city hexes. There's a single little city town. And this is just, this one's not an objective. I don't know why the scenario says to do that, just so you know that hill is special, I guess. And then there's a pretty big one, pretty big city up there. So they need to capture 3 of A, B, C, or D, and then we can ignore E. Okay, so let's see what they have coming on here. So this game is formation based, so there's going to be lots of units, but they're tied to formation. So here we got a helicopter formation. See, there's 2 cards here representing the formation. We're going to be pulling cards from a deck to activate the formation. So these guys have a chance of activating twice on a turn. That's basically what the 2 cards mean. If you only have 1 card, it generally means you're lower quality or you're tired or whatever. So these Soviets and East Germans have been pushing hard for, I don't know, a couple weeks or something for the scenario. So they're tired. They only have, and maybe they're also low quality, I forget, but they don't have 2 cards. Helicopters are still happy though. There's all the units that are going to be in them. Look at that stack. It's kind of ridiculous. So we got 3 formations, land formations plus a helicopter formation coming in. Here's some American defenders. So you can see they're happy. These guys are a little tired. Happy, tired helicopters. Happy. And then these are West Germans. Some territorials, sort of, I don't know, reserves. And a tired out Panzer battalion or company, I'm not sure. Each of these tank units here is a platoon of tanks. It kind of looks company-ish, maybe a little more. Okay, so the scenario says where to set all these guys up. These guys are going to set up off map and they'll be coming on map. So I'm going to go ahead and set up the NATO units first. And then we're going to make a deck of all those cards, okay? This is like familiar with chit pull mechanics in games? Well, these are like chit pulls, but they're cards. And we're going to have 3 end operations cards. Most scenarios you only have 2, but we're going to have 3. Basically, when the 3rd one is drawn, the turn's over. So if any of these other cards haven't been drawn, too bad. There's a balancing mechanism for that. The Soviet / East Germans, they get a special wild card, so they get a little fancy activation. This is an optional rule. Basically, when this card is drawn, we check an event table. I think that'll be fun. I've used this on the learning scenarios. It's pretty imbalancing because they're so small. I think it'll be great on a big scenario. That's enough chit chat. Let's get set up. Okay, let's check out what we got. There's a very large East German formation. These are BMP-2s, which are the fancier version of the BMP-1, loaded with infantry. So there's a whole bunch of infantry in there. This formation actually also has some support weapons. You put all your support weapons off map. There's a little area up here. We put all our headquarters and our support weapons off there. And this sort of secret where they actually live on the battlefield. You don't write it down. It's just when you need it, you drop it on the map. So they have some support weapons. Plus, there's a whole bunch of, I guess it's a battalion of T-80s, since these are platoons. We got 333 of making 3 companies to make a battalion, and a little extra guy. They got a Shilka. These guys also have a bunch of support equipment coming with them. So the formation color here is red, that band there, or, some kind of red. But these guys are all attached, so I need to remember that these are all part of this formation. This Shilka is part of this formation. We're also going to have the helicopters coming in, so they're going to be coming in on the south edge of map 3. That's my choice. It's going to get a little congested here. Stacking is only 2 units. You can ignore headquarters and like infantry loaded inside vehicles and stuff. That doesn't count towards stacking, but basically it's a lot of units. They're going to be coming on here. The border of board 1 is here, so we're coming in like this. And then because of the traffic down there, I'm bringing in, looks like a battalion of T-72s with support weapons. They'll be coming in on the east edge of the map, okay, and coming in up here. So let's see. There's an objective there. There's an objective there. I'm thinking this mass is just going to come in here and overwhelm the German forces. Oh wait, no, that's American. That's German, West German. So I'm thinking they're going to overwhelm the forces, take that objective, right? Maybe move up to this hill area. It's kind of heavy terrain. Be in position to take A, and depending on the battle's going, they'll either push for C or D way back there. The E I removed. It was just to indicate, hey, that entire hill is where the German territorials set up, so I removed the E. But anyway, that's my thinking. So these NATO setups, each formation said like, hey, set up within 2 or 3 or 4 hexes of this spot. So that's what I did. I put them in some terrain here. This battle's going to be complete mayhem because I don't know what I'm doing. I've only played some learning scenarios and they're very simple. So I don't really have a good feel for how the game plays, but these Germans, I just sort of spread them out. Got a Luke's up in the open, that's a German recon unit. Got some support units back here, some anti-air, which probably can't see anything right now, but maybe we'll move them later. I just don't know what to do with them. American units here, spread out a bit. Each infantry unit here, that's an infantry platoon, comes with a platoon of carriers for it, so I just put the carriers behind. Just a little bit of mortar artillery. Yeah, more guys up here, more guys here. Yep. These are Bradley IFVs. Yeah, IFVs, infantry fighting vehicles. They are loaded each with 1 platoon of infantry. And I forget which formations have support weapons, but there's quite a few support weapons available to NATO. It's probably hard for you to see that. What else we got? Just a little bit more coming here. It's going to be a 20-turn scenario. We're on turn 1. Somehow we know when our air support's coming, so there's going to be some air support coming in on some future turns. Weather's clear. Almost ready to go here, everybody. So the Warsaw Pact does not have any off-board artillery assets. I guess it's because they've driven too far away, right? They're all the way near the border of France. But these are the off-board artillery assets for NATO. Then it's kind of weird because I can't tell. There's no way to tell which ones go for the West Germans versus the Americans. So I put the Americans on top in each row and the West Germans on the bottom. So we can see here, this is just saying the strength of the high explosive artillery available to the West Germans and Americans. And this is how many barrages they get. So they each get 3. This is DPICM, I forget what that is, like submunition type artillery. Same thing, the strength is 3-4, we'll figure out what that means. They get 1 barrage of that. Looks like they get the Americans, I forget, it's either the Americans or the Germans, I have to look that up. 1 barrage of multiple launch rocket system. Okay, here's the deck. I put all the cards in there, shuffled them, and we're basically ready to go. Here's the deck. So there's a very nice little sequence of play. You can't quite see all of it, but it says Do initiative phase first. So at the beginning of a game, one side will often have the initiative, and so they get a free, 1 or 4 free activations basically. This scenario, they don't. I guess both sides are on the move or have initiative, or they're just too tired. So we then start phase 1 here, and this is the operations phase. And we're just going to draw a card and do something with it, okay? So here comes the card, first card. The very first card is an event. Here we consult the events table. It says consult this side first. I'm going to roll 2d6. I'm going to do 2 colored dice because who knows whose event this is for. Got an 8. By the way, these are not the dice that come with the game. I bought a whole bunch of dice. The game comes with 4 dice each, and I found when I'm playing face to face, it's not enough. But we got an 8. Let's see, an 8. Event, high rate of fire. One side gets it. So we're going to have to figure out how do we know which side gets it. I think we're going to roll. Your troops intensify their fire. Activate 1 friendly formation for a modified formation impulse. When actions occur in the impulse sequence, units of your activated formation will only execute direct fire, indirect fire, or onboard artillery strikes. Well, I believe this one is not applicable. Here's why. Doesn't matter which side gets this event. It's basically saying, go ahead and get an extra round of firing on someone. At the beginning of the game, it doesn't matter because the Soviets and West Germans are off map. So we will treat that as no event. Well, that was an unfortunate one to start off with for a learning game, but here, next one. Okay, here we go. This unit, some subunit, I don't even know what this says here. I don't know, the 3rd Battalion, 8-1 of the 8th Infantry Division, something like that. American formation, they're activated. This is their morale. I think it encompasses more than just morale, but we'll have to remember that. This is their command range when they're for their very happy headquarters. When their headquarters is sad, basically damaged, that's the command range. Okay, so 7 morale, command range 5. Now we're going to process the activation of the 8th Infantry Division. Here they are. I did not anticipate the NATO side going first because all the learning scenarios, the Soviets have the initiative and they come on first. So I didn't really position these guys first, or well, for them to be activated first. Because maybe I wanted to move them all up onto this hill. In fact, just for fun, maybe we'll do that. This is kind of dumb, but just to exercise the mechanics, first I go get their headquarters. And we'll have a matching band. It's on a available headquarters box off map, something like that. Here we go. And we can just plop it onto any unit, okay? Now remember I said the headquarters range is 5, right? So we're gonna wanna drop it on there. And how do I know about this? Actually, I would have normally removed a bunch of markers, but there aren't any. So now we do command status, where to reassign leaders, deploy headquarters, and check for command effects, okay? That's what I'm doing, I'm dropping the headquarters down. So I want all these guys within range 5 of this headquarters. Otherwise, they'll be out of command when we do a command check. And, you know, there's going to be points in the game where guys are out of command. So, headquarters also give a bonus to most rolls, bonus of 2. So whoever I stack this with is going to have a little bonus. I think I'm inclined to throw it onto this M901 ITV. Hopefully the camera will focus on this. If not, apologies. Let's see if I can force it. But that is an M113 armored transport that's been converted to carry tow anti-tank missiles. I just know that from the weapon stats here, and we'll learn that later. So I think I'm going to drop the headquarters there. Everyone's in 5 hexes. So now I'm checking for command. Everyone is in command. You're always automatically in command if you're stacked to the headquarters or leader, or you're within the range. So, we're just going to learn the rules in detail as we go. Now for each unit of that formation, they get to do actions. They can do move, direct fire, move and fire, onboard indirect fire, assault. I skipped a few things here, offboard artillery, disruption removal, missile reload. It's not applicable yet. We'll get to those later, okay? So really, the only one that really matters here, because there's no enemies on the board yet, is move. So we're going to learn how to move, which is nice and convenient. Okay, so what we're looking for at the bottom of a unit in the center is their movement points available to them. So for example, this M1 Abrams tank platoon has 6 movement points available. The white circle just means normal movement. green circle means normal movement plus you can carry infantry units, basically. So we're going to move each of these. We can move them any way we want. If you have a stack of units, you can move them as a stack. But we're going to go ahead and just move this guy. They're too big for my tweezers. These are nice big units. So they're positioned poorly, but I'm going to get them on this hill. Vehicle silhouettes have a different set of movement rates versus NATO silhouettes. So you can think of them as, you know, all-terrain vehicles and walking. So clear hexes just cost 1 for everything. In general, for vehicles, everything else costs 2. I believe rough, which we see over here, costs 3. So for vehicles, you can just think everything's 2 unless it's clear terrain, or rough, which is 1 or 3. So this guy's going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. A road, as long as you're following it, just counts as clear terrain. 6. So he didn't go very far, did he? I'm trying to get over to this hill. And this might be dumb, right? But I'm just doing it for learning. Okay, so then you can mark units as spent. So the rules say, you know, you cover it up, you can set it off to the side, do whatever you want. I'm just gonna cover it up for the moment. Okay, what else do we have in here? We have this guy, he goes 6. So we'll go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And he's spent. In fact, we'll just keep the spent marker off for a second, because that'll be annoying in a minute. This guy here, this is, here, well, we'll do this, I'm gonna forget. So, transport. You can, if you wanna transport a unit, like an infantry unit, it can move, the infantry unit can move up to 1 hex and load onto a vehicle, and then the vehicle can move up to 3 hexes, something like that. But, you know, I got plenty of time. This guy's movement's 3, he's just gonna walk right out here on his own. Okay, and I guess his vehicle, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I could go up onto this hill. You can see like the little hill crest line here, but it costs an extra movement point. So that's clear terrain, 6, but it would need to cost 7 to get up there. So that's cool though, we'll just leave it there. Now this guy, he's gonna take a long time to get out of here. That might be okay. You know what? It is okay. In fact, I think he's gonna move in here, load up into here, and just chill out. This guy is a self-propelled mortar. Maybe we'll just come up like this. Okay, I'm trying to stay within my headquarters command range, and I'll go ahead and just throw these guys down here. I'm gonna be a little messy just so I can see what's underneath. Okay, and that is the end of that formation's activation. It was pretty lame in terms of game strategy, but yeah. We're back here. Next card. Okay, that's the Soviet helicopters. So they don't have a headquarters. Helicopter units don't have headquarters, but they do have a morale. All right, and I think I'm going to stop just bringing the camera back over here just so I'm afraid of losing situational awareness of the map if I keep hopping over here. So we'll just remember all the cards you draw, go to this discard pile. Later on, they'll get shuffled, put back here. Okay, for these helicopters, when they activate and to move, I'm hoping this isn't blurry, it's so hard to see in my little viewfinder, you have to choose the helicopter mode. So on one side is F for flying. When you fly a helicopter, you have infinite movement points. The terrain doesn't matter, okay? But you're high above the ground, relatively. You can also just hover. We're also high above the ground, but you're stationary. The reason you want to hover is because in the upper left-hand corner when you're flying, you can't use your armor-piercing weapons. We'll get to that later, but there's no weapon there. When you flip it over, oh, there it is. So you want to hover to fire. So we need to move these guys onto the board to get them in a position where they can fire the next time they're activated. That's the deal. But you know, there's units on the board that can fire on them. I need to go make sure like tanks can fire on helicopters. I believe they can. But I know that there are some port weapons off the map. This is a blue range, and we'll get into this again, but 29 range Stinger surface to air missile. This can be dropped on one of the American infantry just as a reaction. So I need to keep that in mind. So in that case, I'm going to come in flying, but nap of the earth. So what that means is flying nap of the earth, when I'm flying around here, I'm at the height of the terrain, almost like a ground vehicle, but obviously I'm flying, so I'm slightly off the ground. So this is a ground level 0 of clear area. So I'm at ground level 0. Trees and cities, they're ground level 1. So if I'm here flying nap of the earth and there's someone over here, which there is, that wants to try to see me, they can't. They're at ground level 0. I'm at ground level 0. There's a ground level 1 obstacle in between us. So that's the benefit, one of the benefits of flying nap of the earth. So if I forget how many levels up if I'm flying normally, I think it's 2. So there's a chance they would see me depending on the vision rules. So I'm gonna stay down there. So that's why I'm coming in nap of the earth. I don't wanna be fired upon. Okay, so we'll have this little marker here to indicate it, but we're gonna come in flying in. Again, if I'm in fly mode, unlimited movement points. Unlimited movement points, it's crazy. But nap of the earth drops it to 12 because you're being more careful and have to fly more slowly. So we're gonna come in and I'm gonna go 1, 2, 3, okay, 4. Now I'm coming in at 0, right? Height 0, and I'm gonna fly up over the treetops. So I'm still at 0, height 0 relative to the trees, but the trees are 1 level up, so I'm really at height 1, okay? So you might be asking, can he be seen by this guy here? Well, this guy's gonna trace his line of sight through these city hexes, right? They're a level 1 obstacle. So you can imagine there's like an angle going up, into the sky. And depending on how high this guy is, you could see him, and the rules allow that kind of thing. But since I'm at the same level height as these, it's blocked. So there's sort of like in other games, there's sort of a plateau effect in this case. So no one can see someone at level 1 beyond this level 1 guy, if they're below level 1, okay? Hopefully that's not too confusing. So this guy's just flying nap of the earth. He comes back down below the trees, lands here, ends up there. Not lands, he's still flying. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Yeah, that's what I thought. We'll go ahead and throw a little nap of the earth there so we remember he's flying nap of the earth. And he has finished his activation. Okay, and I'm going to do the exact same thing with the other one, and I happen to have counted it out already. He's flying nap of the earth as well. 12. So he's behind these cities. The idea is when they activate again, there's 2 cards in that deck. They'll pop up, fire missiles at these guys. That's my plan anyway. Okay, but these guys, their turn's over. Next card, these territorial reservist types, West Germans. So let me remind you where those guys are. They're way back here on this hill. The infantry don't have any ground transports. There's a bunch of Americans here. They have a platoon of jeeps with recoilless rifles. Not very good range. The range is 7. Again, when it's time to fire, I'll go over all these numbers. They have some antiquated, well, maybe at this time they're not that antiquated, Pattons, M48 Pattons. 1 platoon of those. I think they're just gonna hang out and just forego their activation. All right. Let's see what else we got. Okay, got some more Soviets coming on. What is that? Something tank regiment? Guards tank regiment. That's what I bet that is. I'm just guessing. Morale 6, headquarter range 4. Who these guys are? They're off map. Now they have a headquarters, but my reading of the rules, it says when you deploy your headquarters, it deploys onto the map, onto a unit on the map. They're not on the map. My reading is headquarters doesn't come on yet. That's okay though, because remember you have to check for command range. Helicopters don't matter because they don't have a headquarters. But anyone coming from off map onto the map is automatically in command. And again, these rules will all come together later when we start experiencing out of command. But we're gonna move these guys in. Each of these is a company, so I'm thinking I'm gonna like split them like this. Each company will have 1 unit on its own and 2 stacked. And the reason I care about that is stacked. You can stack up to 2. Stacked Soviet tanks can fire. I think it's called a volley fire or a salvo, something like that. They get a little bonus when firing together. It's like a tactic of theirs. So I want some of them to be stacked. Okay, and we're just going to come on. These guys are all homogeneous. They have a 6 movement factors. These are the best Soviet tanks at the time, the T-80, and they have a Shilka which is basically a quad anti-aircraft gun that, you know, it's not only for anti-aircraft. So I think we're just going to start coming on here. The border of X1 is right here, or map 1 is here. And this is 3. So we could come on just like this. And I think that's my plan. So again, my plan is helicopters are going to hang here. Going to try to get some good shots on these. Hopefully they'll activate. The T-80s, I think they're going to come up this edge behind this hill. Get some woods here to block sight. Maybe we'll just get a nice little, get some high angle shots this way. And, you know, we can come around here and support the assault on this town, right? Or head off the West Germans that are back there. Sorry for all the reflections and all this. Daytime filming at my house, not so good. So, yeah, and then this massive amount of BMPs and infantry, they'll look more come over like this. But I want to clean out these Americans over here. Okay, so let's get down here and yeah, we'll go ahead and, so 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I can do this fast because there's no one within sight. In fact, this guy that just did 6, I'd rather have the stack come in. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, it's going to get pretty crowded down here pretty quick. Maybe this stack will go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 up onto the hill. So the way line of sight on hills works, someone not on the hill that's at lower elevation can see this guy, and if you're at the same elevation or higher, you can see him. You know, provided there's no other blocking terrain. But if you're in this, not on the edge of the hill, for example, from this guy's point of view, I mean, he's on an edge here, but he's not on this edge, right? Someone like right here cannot see him. There's a plateau effect from the hill. So he can only be seen from the edge if someone below. So anyway, he's coming up here. It's actually 2 platoons. What else we got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4. We'll go like that. Go like that. Get a few more stackies. All right, we're stacking everybody here. And then the Shilka, it'll just nestle in with everybody here. It only moves 5, but we're good. I thought that they would, you know, kind of slow moving in this game, huh? Like, things don't go very far. We'll just get all these guys here. And, yeah, activation. Next activation, we have the B4 8th Infantry. What is that? Company B, yeah, Company B, I don't know. I don't know the military jargon here. So some more guys, and they are the ones right about to be overwhelmed by these T-80s coming in over the hill. They're going to come in over the hill, just overrun those guys, right? So got to decide what we're going to do with these guys. Well, we're going to drop our headquarters in. Bam. Everyone's within range 5. Sorry if you can hear some white noise in the background. Okay, so I have to decide, do I want these guys to just sit here and soak up this massive attack coming in? Or would it be better to fall back a little? It's clear the Soviets, I'm going to call them Soviets, but it's really Warsaw Pact. It's a mixture of East Germans and Soviets. It's clear they're partially coming in heavy here. I don't yet know where the East Germans are coming in, technically, and there's another, yeah, there's 2 formations of East Germans, okay? 1 tanks, 1 infantry, mostly infantry. So I kind of want to back these guys up. So yeah, so we're gonna, they don't have line of sight to anyone yet. Thing is, if I try to engage, I think these guys can afford to take losses and just overwhelm them and get that objective, which would be a nice thing to get early, so then you don't have to worry about it. I think I'm going to move these guys back a little. So my range is 5, headquarters range. So anyway, let's move the headquarters. So it's going to go 1. I need to make sure no one's going to get line of sight to me. Nope. 2, 3, 4, 5. Ugh. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I want to try to get, sorry, you probably would like to see where I'm going. I'd like to try to stay in cover. So maybe these Soviets, oh, this is hard to film a big game with my rig anyway. So these Soviets here, as soon as they come around the corner, they're going to be able to see this way. So maybe I should pull them back to here. They'll still be able to see this town. The town will probably fall. But at least I'll get them a little further back. So maybe he'll go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And you can check line of sight anytime you want. This, there's no dots in the hexes. The rules are a little more loosey-goose than, I don't mean that in a negative way, just than something like Advanced Squad Leader. Just eyeball the center to center hex. So that's safe, right? And the helicopters are behind the city, so that, I forget what I did. That was enough movement points to get there. So this guy, 1, 2, 3, 4. I'd actually like to put him back there, okay? In that little woods back there, okay? Gets a nice clean shot across the lake. And then this guy here, 1, 2, 3. Maybe I'll just 4, 5. Slide into the back of this town here for now. Okay, so those guys are all activated. Sort of giving up the town there. And this card goes to the discard. All right, next card, same guys. So they're done for the turn. So what you do is you take off any markers like this off of them. Okay, so that's the first time we've seen a reset. Then we can redeploy the headquarters. You have to trace a path. It's not like surrounded by enemy units. We're good, right? So I'm going to keep it there. I like this headquarters here. It's kind of nice that I can get everyone redeployed as I see fit. Just gotta tuck in there. Yeah, tuck in there. Yeah. Okay, so that's all I'm doing. So just getting in position. It's sort of the preamble to the battle, I suppose, yeah. Next, 261st Panzer. 7 morale, 5 activation. I guess there's a lot more NATO cards in that deck, right? Because there's many more NATO formations. Gonna go ahead and grab the West German headquarters. And here we go. And here are the West Germans. They're close to all the other guys that have already activated. And I guess we'll just throw the headquarters there. Now this game has a few abstractions that contribute nicely to Fog of War. And one of those is the idea like you never know where the headquarters is going to be each turn. It doesn't have to move around. It's more abstract. Same thing with support weapons like anti-tank guided missile teams and things, or SAM teams. They'll just plop down and the opponent won't really know where they're going to be. So anyway, we have to decide what are these guys going to do? Do they want to move? I think they at least want to move a little. Just to get some situational awareness here. Here's the objective that this small group of Americans backed off of because of the large, get the helicopters here and this large force of T-80 tanks coming up. So I could see, they have a headquarters range of 5, so they could spread out a bit, the Germans, I mean. Maybe, see there's no roads coming in here. Oh, there's one right there, but maybe we'll get some Germans in here. They can help support in this way. So maybe this guy here, let's get a movement of 5. What is this? This is a Leopard 2. That's a decent tank. So we'll go 1, 2, 3. Well, I guess we'll just go right in there. That was 1, 2, 3, 4. I wanted to go here, but I don't have enough movement points to get there. What else we got here? This guy's a 6. It's kind of far away. What's this? This is the one with the headquarters. So he'll just scoot up and take that. This Lux, which is German for lynx, I believe. That is a recon vehicle. Oops, where did it come from? I think it was right there. Recon vehicles are always in command, so I can just ignore the headquarters range for that guy. So maybe he'll come up here because he can do some artillery spotting. So he's got 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 on a road. Okay. So I need to remember though, he's part of this formation. I think I can because he's German. The other German force is way in the back. See what else can I do? I have 2 anti-aircraft units, and look at those helicopters coming up. I mean, I don't think they're going to do much, but right now they're hidden behind those trees. So we'll come here so that at least they can see in this direction. What else we have over here? We have another Leopard 2. Well, there's not a lot of, I guess he'll come 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and hide behind this tree here. So we got that. This guy's actually moved already too. So the last couple things, what do we have back here? We have the Jaguar 2, which is a missile carrying German vehicle. I'm trying to remember what kind of missiles those are. I think they might be TOWs. Yeah, they look like they have the characteristics of TOW missiles. I just happen to know that from having played. And this is like an anti-tank gun, or like mobile anti-tank. That guy's not very good. So I think that guy will just tuck into the woods there. He might come and play later. This missile guy though, I don't really know where I want him to go. He's going to come in and tuck in with the headquarters here. So I have a stack of 3 things here, but headquarters don't count towards stacking. I'm hoping this is in focus. I'm going to be really sad if it's not, but it's so hard for me to see things. Anyway, so yeah, so that entire force is done. Again, just some more maneuver. Next card, it's the first end operations card. So once we have 3 of these, the turn will be over. So I'm going to just set it off to the side, remind myself there's an operations card out. Oh, another American. This is the, oh, that's good. Those guys already started moving. So it's the guys with the sort of reddish band. They are up here, and I was moving them down to try to get on this hill. So, just as a reminder, there's nothing really out there yet, but we have some East Germans coming in there, and then way over here is these guys. So, remember I said these guys, I sort of planned on them hitting this hill. I mean, it does look like a strategic location, and it makes sense for the Americans to want to capture it as well, or get in position before the East Germans and Soviets. Let's go ahead and clear these markers off. Okay, and they're ready to go. Everyone's in command because the American range is 5. Most of the NATO guys are pretty much the same. So this guy's got a move of 3, but he's going to go uphill. So it's 1, 2, 3. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So just sort of getting in position. This guy back here is carrying an infantry unit. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, this is the M113 that is armed with TOW missiles. 1, and I'm keeping the headquarters on it. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, just tucking up on this hill. It's M1 Abrams. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And this mortar unit, yeah, we'll bring this out. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Just tuck it in there. All these guys are going to go spent here. Done. Next card, second end operations. Ooh. So that's dangerous since 2 formations from the Warsaw Pact haven't activated yet. Next card. Man, these are, this is the Bradley Infantry Fighting Vehicle Company carrying U.S. troops. They're way back here. That's actually a good activation for the Americans. So each one of these has a platoon of infantry. And I forget exactly what support weapons they have, but they do have some support weapons, at least one, I believe. So these Bradleys are armed with TOW missiles, so they're pretty solid. I guess we'll drop the headquarters right here. And they can go 6. That's what, because it says 6. Green just means they're carrying infantry. So I was thinking those guys would be good to try to get in behind this town. So just cruise along this road. And yeah, there's still no one that can see these guys. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. They're sort of in column formation, just cruising up here. They also have a M113 armed armed with a tow. So we'll do something like this. I can actually see I've never played a big scenario. I've actually can see running out of these markers. So, you know, at some point we'll go ahead and maybe just put the marker near the formation's headquarters or something. I don't remember if I remember mentioning this, but during setup, these helicopters, American helicopters, they can come in on the north of this board or the north of this board. So they're right on the border. That's why they're sort of angled there. All right. Next card. The Soviet helicopters activate again. Let's go find those guys. They're right here. Remove these. I have to choose their, when it's time for them to move, I have to choose their flight mode. They're dropping nap of the earth and flipping to hover. Actually, let me back that up. These guys are activated and they are nap of the earth, but each unit goes one at a time, right? So, but when an individual unit activates, so the formation activated, but now when I activate individual units, they decide their mode. So I think we'll do this one first. It's gonna drop nap of the earth mode, okay? So once you select your mode, that is considered something that can result in opportunity fire. That's when your enemy can fire on you on your turn. Movement is a trigger, and changing a helicopter's mode, which happens when it first activates. So this guy's just popped up above these city buildings. And actually what I mean is I want to hover. Drop nap of the earth, stop flying, and hover. So now he's popped up above those buildings. All right, sorry, I took a pause to go read the rules because I haven't actually played with helicopters yet. So it turns out when you're flying, you're 2 levels above your terrain. So if this guy was flying, not nap of the earth, you're at the 0 level of the underlying terrain. If you're flying, you're 2 levels up. So that'd be 1 level up would be at the same height of this city, and another level up would be 1 level above the city. At that point, there's no plateau effect. By the plateau effect, I mean if there's terrain at your same height, and let's say I'm at level 1 right now. If it's at my same height, like the edge of the city sort of blocks all sight along there. If I go 1 level up, it doesn't block sight anymore, though there might be some blind hexes. For example, this city would cast a blind hex. Go into that later. But I was just looking at the rules. When I'm in hover mode, you're only 1 level above the underlying terrain. So the underlying terrain here is 0. So I'd be at level 1. I'd be at the same height. You know, I'd be like just as if I'm sitting on the rooftops of the city. So there would be a plateau effect, which means I wouldn't be able to see really anything. So maybe, and I positioned these guys poorly, so let's start that over again. These guys are nap of the earth. This guy's gonna go. I want to get him in a better spot, I guess. Really, I want to hover to fire my weapons, right? So maybe we will. This guy's going to stay nap of the earth. He's going to fly around here. He's behind all this terrain. I know there's some bad stuff over here. He's behind all this terrain, and he's going to fly right in here. So now he is spotted by at least 1 unit. And you know, this isn't like ASL. Like we can just check line of sight. So this is Luke's German scout vehicle sees it. Now this American M60 Patton. This is hard to see. I'm looking above. You know, the camera's not exactly where my eyes are, but where my eyes are, it clips a blocking terrain hex. It actually intersects this vertex. So the rules say You may trace along a blocking terrain hex side, provided there's no other blocking terrain. One blocking terrain hex side. If you trace about a second, it's blocked. This is in a hex side. This is like a little vertex. So I'm just gonna say, please correct me if I'm making this wrong. They can both see this guy, and that means they can conduct opportunity fire if they want. That would be true. That would be true if they weren't marked ops complete. That's what that red X means. So one thing you want to do in this game is make sure you always have guys that are not marked with an X so that they can fire. So I'm kind of forgetting how to play a little already, just because I've been reading the rules off camera, but this guy's completely safe to fly around in here right now because everyone's marked ops complete. But he's just going to go here because I know later he can fire on these guys. So he's napping the earth there, and then his buddy. Let's try to get him in a good spot as well. You know, I think from here you can probably see onto the hill where the Americans are moving in. Let's see. Ooh, it's really hard to get this into line of sight, or into the camera sight. So there's this little gap here between the hill and the woods there. So I think he's just going to nap it over to here. And you can't see anyone right now, but if anyone pokes their nose out onto the edge of this hill, right along here, he'll see them. Okay? And I guess that's it. I was thinking these guys are going to pop up and do some missile attacks, but not yet. Now, I know both their cards are played, so they won't activate till next turn unless something funky happens that I don't remember. Ah, look at that. Third ender operations. So that's premature. So, check this out. All these cards did not get played, and that could be a bit unbalancing, theoretically. So what we're going to do is we're going to find the headquarters for each one of these that did not activate at least once. So some of them may have already activated. Well, I know this East German didn't activate. The American helicopters didn't activate. These guys activated once, so they don't count. They don't get it. They're not going to get a little bonus. These guys did not activate, so these guys didn't activate. And finally, this designated formation, it doesn't represent any formation, so it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter in this case. It doesn't matter. So what we're going to do is we're going to find all 4 of these headquarters, and we're going to put them on one of these end operations cards. We'll do that. So I've just done that off to the side. I'll show you it in a second, but I'm kind of doing the end of turn steps out of order. It doesn't really matter for the most part, but all the X's, they're coming off. So that means plenty of opportunity fire opportunities on next turn. So I'm going to go ahead and take them off. Okay, they've all been taken off. So let's go see what I did over here. Do a little sideways camera action. But I've reshuffled everything into the deck except for one end operations card. And that is because there were formations that didn't get activated at all. So 2 East Germans, an American, and there's no headquarters for helicopters, so I just put a blue objective marker here to represent the American helicopters that didn't activate. So these are all going to sit on this card. Once they've activated, this card will get shuffled into the deck. So the idea is they didn't get to activate on turn 1, well, they're guaranteed to activate on turn 2 because the turn can't end until this card goes in, and this card can't go in until they have activated. Make sense? The last little thing to do, way up in the corner. Ooh, we're going to move that marker to turn 2, okay? So yeah, that was turn 1. It was fairly uneventful. I mean, it's just movement to contact. The East Germans must be really tired. They didn't get any units onto the board. You know, they've been pushing towards France for several weeks, I believe. So anyway, keep an eye out for turn 2.